Viewer contributions make local programming possible on WNIN. Become a member of WNIN with your contribution so we can continue to make this programming available. Visit WNIN.org and click on the donate button.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, I'm Todd. That's Jonathan. We appreciate the invitation for allowing us to be able to come and share as we have here, being able to serve the city of Evansville and to help launch METS Micro. Jonathan's going to start out the presentation, and then I'll come and talk briefly about METS Micro, and then he'll finish up the presentation.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Siebeking. I'm the director at METS. Anytime someone wants to talk about METS Micro, I also want to talk about METS and METS Mobility so that you know what we actually do. So, does anyone know how long mass transportation has been in the city of Evansville? Does anyone have any idea? Just guesses, any numbers? 20 years. The picture's a guess, or it's a hint. So in 1867 is when we got our first public mass transportation in the city of Evansville. And they were mule carts that would go up and down Main Street, what is currently Main Street, and they would end what is now the Civic Center. And so they had these little trolley cars pulled by mules. Then they switched over to the electric trolleys as technology changed, and that was in 1892. They got rid of the mules and went with the electric trolleys. And then in 1926 is when we got rid of the electric trolleys and started going towards gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles. You can still see some of our old tracks around town, though, when you drive around. So nationally, right after World War II, we started seeing a decline in mass transportation in America. They started moving away from the electric vehicles and really going full force into vehicles that were diesel-powered, mostly made by General Motors with bigger buses. And so in the 1960s, as this continued to decline, LBJ came up with the Great Society that we all know and studied in history class. And one of the big things was pushing towards urban development or redevelopment and mass transportation. So prior to that, all of these transit companies had been privately owned companies. They stopped making profits in the 60s, and the one that was here in town decided they were just going to leave. That got city community together, and in 1971 they created the Metropolitan Evansville Transit System, and we got our own board and started buying these great little red and white vehicles that we'd see around town in 1971. So today, METS has, at our peak, we have 21 routes. Right now, 4 of them have not been reactivated since COVID. We run on the majority of our fleet is these 35-foot hybrid vehicles that we got under Mayor Winnecke's administration when he helped us redesign what we wanted to look like and try to put out a new face to the people. So we have 22 fixed routes at peak. Sorry, not 22, not 21. We also run 7 days a week, 6 a.m. until midnight, Monday through Saturday, 6 to 6 on Sunday. And we also have a paratransit service. So that paratransit goes around to the county. And I'll switch to that one. So with that, if you are 65 plus or someone that is living with a disability that qualifies for paratransit, we'll pick you up, take you wherever you want to go in the county and back in the city of Evansville. And it's all just public transportation. I'm going to go back, so I switched. So some of the new technology updates. I always like talking about, we just got a new bus tracking system called TripSpark. We had one called Double Map. It got sunsetted. We now have TripSpark, so you have an app. You can actually put where you are, where you want to go. It tells you what buses to take, how long it's going to take to get there. We're very proud after 10 years of hard work, we made it onto the map officially. We are on Google Maps, so it was a lot harder than one would think. So AI is not really all that great to communicate with when you're trying to get these things done, but it is off by 1 hour, but we are working on that. So just subtract an hour from whatever puts it on there. But our contractors are working diligently on it, I'm sure, right now. So Another really cool thing with these are APCs, and I'm sure everyone knows what an APC is. You guys are just thrilled to hear about APCs and talk about them. APCs are automatic passenger counters. So we can see exactly where someone's getting on, and we can see where they're getting off. So we know where to start building our amenities. It used to be I would drive around and see if it was a spot without a sidewalk, how much dirt was there instead of grass, and then we'd know people are using that spot. Now we have data to show where people are getting on, where they're getting off. So that's one really great technology. We also have this beautiful new bus stop sign you'll start seeing going up around the city. They are being produced as we speak, and they're going to replace our current bus stop signs. So with that, I will go back with Todd here. Let me see if this has sound attached to it.
Hello, my name is Todd Robertson. I am the Executive Director for the Department of Transportation and Services. Recently, we expanded METS Micro from the east side of 41 to parts of downtown. And for the next 60 seconds, I'm going to talk about how to use it. Come on, let's go inside. To get started, you must first download the app. If you've never downloaded the app before, the first 6 rides are free. After downloading the app, you'll be required to enter your personal information. You'll be also required to either enter credit card, debit card, or a prepaid card, which must be maintained on file. If you choose not to use either of those options, you can simply come to METS and purchase a ride card with cash. Okay, now you're ready to go. Using the app, you tell us where you are and where you want to go, and a driver will be along shortly. If you do not have access to the internet, just call the number below and speak to one of our dispatchers. Once you've picked up, you may notice that you'll end up sharing a ride. Well, that helps keep our prices low at $2 per ride. Before you know it, you'll be at your destination, and you've only spent $2 a ride. That's how easy it is to ride METS Micro. Now, if you excuse me, I got a meeting inside. Have a good day.
So that was the radio version, I guess, because the video did not show up, but he looked fabulous. So I will hand this over.
All right. Thank you, Johnson. Back in 2021, actually, Jonathan and I attended a workshop that was presenters. One of the presenters was Toyota Mobility Foundation. And in the workshop, we were able to discuss some of the impediments that we experience in providing services to the city of Evansville. As a result of that, we were reached out, Toyota Mobility Foundation reached out to us, and they were tasked by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. They were tasked with the assignment of meeting with us to try to help meet some of those objectives that we were at highlighted in the process, and maybe create some sort of meaningful pilot program here in the city of Evansville. So with the Toyota Mobility Foundation, Evansville Metropolitan Office, and METS as the primary stakeholders, we began an arduous process of trying to figure out how can we meet some of those objectives, some of those impediments that we were experiencing in the METS transit system. Through that whole process, birthed METS Micro. METS Micro is a relatively new transportation option. Communities are using it as an alternative to fixed routes and private transportation. It is a door-to-door on-demand system. And basically what I was trying to show on the commercial that we had put together was that it's easy for you to be able to download, and you'll be able to download it, and with a credit card on file, you just call up a ride similar to that of an Uber or similar to that of a Lyft, but it's basically used as another transit option for areas where we do not have fixed route capabilities, or for areas that are for people who are, there's another area where in our METS mobility, is in high demand. It's such a demand that we aren't able to provide the type of service that we would love to. So again, METS Micro was another option that birthed as a result of that, and is open to anyone. It's open not only to those who are disabled, but is open to anyone who wants to get on to the route, get on to the services. It's highly utilized. We've expanded. We started out as a pilot program for 3 years is what we're at. We're at the close of year 2. We're coming up on the close of year 2. And then since then, we've expanded, and Jonathan will speak more about this here in a little bit, but we're coming up on our second expansion, and it's relatively nominal cost. In cost is $2 per ride, but again, it is a ride share. It is not a ride where you are the only person, so they may pick up somebody else along the way to and from your destination. But it's highly utilized. It is very expensive to operate. We are appreciative of, we do have I'm not sure if we can promote that yet or not, but we do have another stakeholder who actually awarded us a grant to help expand into the Jacobsville area here, in which we'll show, I believe we're going to show that expansion is coming up. So we're looking for any other partners that want to help us. I'm throwing my plug out there. Any other one that would love to help us, or even creatively figure out how we can be creative in expanding and maintaining this service. It takes us about $1 million a year right now to continue with METS Micro and to keep the prices low where people are using it. And a lot of young people are using it going to and fro. And it is a service also that everything in the vehicle is recorded. So a lot of people utilize it because they feel safer, because when everything that they go is being done in the vehicle is recorded, so they feel that it's a safe ride to and from. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to Jonathan, and he'll go into more in depth of METS Micro.
Todd was talking about $1 million. He and I were just talking about, if you've ever been to Philadelphia, they've got a great transit system there called SEPTA, and they just had to take $500 million from their capital account in the future to put it in their operating account currently, just to keep their system going. So our problems are a little easier right now. So with METS Micro, if you've ever used Uber, Lyft, any of those, it's just an app. You simply download the app, you click where you want to go, you click where you are. It will tell you whether or not someone can pick you up, how quickly they can pick you up, and where to get to. The other neat thing is it will also tell you how to take our fixed route system. So if you can't find that ride that you want on METS Micro, or it's going to take too long, it'll tell you just how to get to the next bus stop, what bus to take, and how to get to your point after that. So currently, most of the zone is I-69 is the southern portion and the eastern portion. We have a cutout that goes around the health area up on Gateway. It comes up to Costco, comes down Morgan Avenue, basically. Originally, it stopped at Highway 41. We were able to expand partially into downtown to get to the health department. We will be announcing soon the additional expansion that will take up the majority of the rest of downtown, thanks to the donation. I think we can say it was at the Board of Public Works, but a $50,000 donation for expanding it. So currently we are 20,000 square feet, 20 square miles in Evansville is covered by METS Micro, and 66,000 people live in that area. So you've got about 41% of the city space-wise and 57% population-wise. We started November 28th, 2023. It was a little chilly that day. The people from VIA, who we contract with, came to town, and Mayor Winnicky did a press announcement. And from there, during its first year, we did 38,000 rides. From November of 2024 to the 7th, we're at 45,000 rides. And so we're expecting to do an additional 3,000 or so per month for the rest of the year. If you don't want to put a card in, you can come to our office and you can pay in cash or something, and you can get these little promo cards, and then you just enter it into the app. And then all of the money's in there. If you don't want to use a smartphone, we do have call centers. VIA is an international company, so they have 3 call centers throughout the world. There's one in Colorado, one in Africa, and I think the other one might be in Spain, but I don't remember. So sometimes there is a little issue with accents, but it's just because they are operating globally 24 hours a day, and so it just depends on where that call center is. But they can set you up with your ride, and they can also set you up with your account whenever you call into it. It just kind of shows, how to download an app and what it looks like. What's really neat for our planners back here is the system Remix. So Remix takes census data, and you can use it for tracking out future bus lines. You can click on census tracts, see how many people live there, don't have a car, how many use public transportation, how many live in the poverty area, how many work from home. It has all this great information, but what it also does, since Remix and VIA are the same company, it shows us exactly where people are that are downloading the app and where they are requesting a ride or where they are trying to get to. So we can actually see in these bubbles, once every week it updates, so you can see where your room for growth is based on what these bubbles look like for future expansion possibilities if the funding were in place. And that's all I have about METS Micro and METS.
Very fascinating discussion on the micro aspect of it's like competing with Uber and Lyft. You talk about working poverty, folks without vehicles. Do you want everyone using micro? Is it good for everyone to get the data? So if this wintertime it's cold, I don't want to walk to the Ford Center and I want to be a responsible consumer of alcoholic beverages at a UE game, should I use this app to go to the UE game versus renting a scooter or Uber?
Answer
I would encourage you to use the app. We opened this up with the idea that it is an alternative to transit itself, because the fixed routes do not go everywhere. It's not to be in competition with any other services that are provided. And the other portion, it is a ride share. So you call for a ride, but we may pick up 2 or 3 other people before we get to your final destination. So we would encourage you, though, to use METS Micro.
So thank you. Thank you for your presentation today. Believe it or not, I used to work for METS as a supervisor, and I didn't know about METS Micro, so I apologize for that. What hours does METS Micro operate? That's my first question. And then the second is, I want to commend you because this is such a great idea. What it reminds me of is when I take my car in to have the oil changed, and then they maybe take 3 other people, but they get me back to work. So that's kind of how it works, it sounds like. But what are your hours of operation?
Micro runs the same as our normal hours, so Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. until midnight, and then Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're closed, I think, 4 days out of the year. So other than that, we're always running.
Hi, I got 2 questions. First question is, the first time I took it, I've only taken it once. You must not have been point to point, because I got a lecture from the driver telling me that I had to go near a bus stop or something. Has that changed recently, or? Because originally, I guess it wasn't point to point.
So it's curb to curb, so you might have to walk a block.
Okay.
There is a little slide that you put if you do have mobility needs. You just slide it over, and then it's door to door.
Right, it's just knowing where
Yeah.
to go to meet it. It's not like there's a bus
Yeah.
stop on every corner in Evansville, so
Yeah. We're
that's
close.
That's a challenge. Second question is, are there any stats on the biggest thing with it is, let's say you have an appointment at a certain time. Are there any statistics on how long it takes usually for the average time to get picked up? Is there any way to find that out, or do you have any history on that as far as, because convenience includes timing and being able to hit a certain time versus, you know, other alternatives? Where'd you go?
Well, for us, and I'm assuming you're asking for public-facing stats, we do know internally. We know that right now, when you call up at the peak times, you're probably going to have at least a 20-minute wait. So there are some peak hours that we see internally that we know that it's probably during those time frames there's going to be a 20-minute wait. But as a public-facing type delay yet, we don't have that available yet.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Actually, this summer you had been to Aurora and spoke to us and all of our case managers because we're in Jacobsville. So my question is if you could elaborate a little bit more about the Jacobsville expansion. I'm really eager to hear about that.
I think we're waiting for the mayor and the parties that are donated to make the more of a rollout. But we are looking for. We've done several exercises, and we think that we've come up with a win-win for both of us for the amount of money that was donated. So that's about all I would say at this time.
Do you have any statistics on how many people use this as their means of getting to work, and how many use it as their means for getting to like doctor's appointments and that sort of thing versus just shopping and recreation?
I don't know if we have any statistics. We've been working with the MPO. They're in our weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings with VIA, the company that runs this for us, and the Toyota Mobility Foundation, and they've been doing surveys trying to ask people. And that's one thing that's always hard in transit, unless you actually do a personal passenger sampling where you sit with each person to find out where they are, why they're doing it. We do that once every 3 years. We do a passenger sampling so we can know that on our fixed route service and on our mobility, but we haven't yet had to do anything like that on METS Micro. We can kind of see, where they're being picked up and where they're going and bases. If they're going to the mall, they're probably going, either to work or shop. If they're going out to Gateway, it's either to visit someone or they're going to a hospital. But we don't have any, the hard data.
Can you repeat that now?
Yeah, 40% going to work. One more time, you throw a lot of numbers. 35% for leisure. Yeah. 20 and 20 for recreation. 10 for healthcare. So, one thing that was, it's interesting because, things change with the generation. And Todd and I were looking at the numbers today. This summer, the Mayor Terry had the My Ride program. If you were a kid, you got to ride the bus for free all summer long. Up until the age of 20 years old. The 18 was the kickoff, but if you were still going through high school up to 20, you got to ride for free. And you could look at those numbers and you could see the decline in ridership in METS Micro. We lost over 1,000 riders per month when those 2 months were going on because the people that were riding at $2 per ride were now riding for free on our fixed route service because you saw the 11,000 increase on our fixed route side. So we do know that, a rather large chunk of our ridership in METS Micro is youth. Parents feel safer, if you send your 15-year-old out to go somewhere, you want them to ride in this minivan with somebody that's got a camera that has audio versus, walking or riding on the fixed route possibly.
I have maybe more of a statement of gratitude as someone who's really passionate about public transit. I appreciate this service so much, and it's a great complement to our fixed route, which I know we're constantly working on being innovative and improving. We heard from the health department. I know you had mentioned them in your presentation. We heard from them a few weeks ago here in Rotary, and I just want to say they mentioned METS Micro twice during their presentation of how grateful they were to have that service for their clients. So really appreciative for what you guys do. I'm really excited about this expansion. I know that $20 million grant that was clawed back is a real loss, because a big part of that was going to go to expand METS Micro throughout the entire city, and that would have been such a win. So with that, I guess part of a question is, are there any grants on the horizon that are a possibility to be able to expand it throughout the entire city at some point?
We're always actively looking and searching. There's not many out there now that actually are tailored to what we're doing now. So that's why we often say anybody who would partner with us is a great move for us at this particular time. But we are always actively looking for grant opportunities.
I also have a comment. I wanted to go back to what you were talking about related to the My Ride opportunity this summer, because I think it's a great example of kind of back to Jim's question: do we know who's riding METS Micro? Do we know what's the purpose of their ride? But it's about creating kind of a culture shift, about adopting a new approach towards transportation. And I think METS Micro is a great example of expanding our system, providing more opportunities for people specific to their needs. But by converting those riders from METS Micro to fixed routes, we're also helping, that was also really helping educate the next generation on what a very responsive and multi-approached transit system can be. And I think it's a great step in the next direction, and I hope we can see more of that type of collaboration.
Yeah. With the $20 million EPA grant, the idea was to create these mobility hubs around the city. It also had things like solar power in it and getting electric vehicles, but it was to also, so if you rode our fixed route to Lawndale, but you wanted to get somewhere that our buses didn't go up near, like Pollock Avenue, you would be able to then catch that ride on METS Micro for they call it the last mile. They want to take you the last mile. They want you to use fixed route all around town, and in their vision, you would then use these little minivans for that last mile of where you're trying to get to for convenience, so that it all kind of works together. With that $20 million, we also had some bike stations put in. I think almost $6 million in sidewalks, $4 million. It was a big chunk. I'm sure the money's being used well somewhere else, I assume, but we would have liked it. So.
I think that's all the questions. So thank you so very much for being here. So thank you.